So hi to you watching this video. So for this video, we're going to discuss about module number 7. So missing data on traverse analysis. So this module will explain and illustrate how to compute for omitted measurement. So one side is completely missing, two adjacent sides are missing, and lastly, two non-adjacent sides are missing. Okay. So, omitted measurement. Sometimes it is not possible or practical to determine by field observation the length and direction of a line. So, within a closed traverse. So, these missing quantities may be determined analytically to obtain a complete set of nodes for the traverse as long as they do not exceed 2 in number. However, the practice of omitting measurements for one or more sides of a closed traverse and solving for them is not a desirable one and should be avoided. So the trouble with such calculations is that it tends to throw all the possible error and mistakes into the computation of one lengths or directions. A computation of lengths or directions. It also is eliminating the check on the precision of field measurements that were made. There is no choice but to assume that the measurements taken are all correct and without error in order that the missing quantities may be calculated. So there may be chances or there may be occurrences wherein it is very difficult to have your close traverse, no? For example, sabihin natin yung terrain, hindi ina-allow ng terrain or there are obstruction present. Okay, obstruction present. So, if that would be the case, we will be solving the missing side geometrically. So, we will be imploring the help of geometry. But as much as possible, we want to try to avoid them kasi nawawala na yung sinasabi natin dito na uh, nawawala na dito yung sinasabi natin na misclosure. There might be chances na or there is a high possibility that when we do surveys, yung ano natin, yung sino-survey natin, may misclosure. From the previous modules, isn't it that we were able to solve for the misclosure and we were also able to correct them. But if we are going to use this method or wherein it is a omitted measurement, no? Ina-assume natin na yung mga sinurvey natin ay correct, walang error. Okay? So, tatanggapin natin siya as it is. So, yun yung iniiwasan natin. Okay? So, as much as possible, we want to uh, go away with that. Okay? Or do away with that. Okay? So, what are the common types of omitted measurements? So, you have number one, omitted measurements are in one side. So, first case, length and bearing of one side is unknown. So, for case 1, first case where is one side is unknown, hindi natin alam yung distance ng isang unknown and the bearing of that distance. Okay? 2, omitted measurements involving two adjoining sides. So, for this one, magkatabi yung dalawang sides. So, first case, length of one side and bearing of another side is unknown. Second case, yung length ng dalawang side ay unknown. Third case, the bearing of the two sides are unknown. Okay? So I repeat, for case number 1, yung side nung isa ay yung length nung isa alam natin and yung bearing nung isa naman ang hindi natin alam. Okay? So case number 2, dalawang length ang hindi natin alam. Case number 3, we have two bearings that we do not know. Okay? Number 3, omitted measurements involving non-adjoining sides. So, hindi magkatabi yung dalawang lines na missing. So, for the first case, length of one side and bearing of another side is unknown. So, magkaibang length and magkaibang bearing yung unknown natin. And case number 2, lengths of two sides are unknown. And case number 3, bearings of two sides are unknown. So, if the missing data are in one side, we can use this L. So L, the length of the unknown side, is equivalent to the misclosure on the departure squared plus the misclosure on the latitude squared. And that would give us the length. Take note, dito, wala na tayong misclosure. We assume that all the values that were measured are correct. Okay? So, in solving for the bearing, that is simply tangent alpha is equivalent to negative CD over negative CL. Okay? So, omitted measurements involving two non-adjoining sides. For the different cases of omitted measurements involving non-adjoining sides, the following principles are adopted. First principle, a line may be moved from one location to a second location parallel with the first, and its latitude and departure will remain unchanged, will not be changed. Okay. Principle number two, the algebraic sum of the latitudes and the algebraic sum of all the departures of any system of lines forming a closed figure must be zero, regardless of the order in which the lines are placed. Okay? So, ito lang siya. So, we have here a traverse AB, BC, CD, DE, E to A. Okay? Now, the problem here is we have a missing side of a small letter B and small letter D. So, sabi sa principle number 1 natin, lines may be moved considering that it will be parallel with the first. So, ililipat natin itong line na to, ididikit natin siya doon sa may point na existing yung line and the bearing. So, I will transfer line DC to point E considering na dapat parallel pa rin siya. Okay? Parallel yung line. So, from this location, na-transfer na siya dito. Okay? Now, I will also transfer line D, small d, ipupunta ko siya sa line C. Okay? Take note, parallel pa rin yan. Pag nilipat mo, parallel pa rin siya. So that yung departure and latitude hindi mag-iiba. So nung nilipat, parehas lang din. This line, if you're going to extend it, and this line, if you're going to extend it, they are both parallel. Okay? Yon. And, yun na. Pinagdugtong na natin yung D and B. Okay? Now, it will now be closed by a closing line. And this closing line can be solved using the misclosure. So, pwede natin isolve yung missing line natin through this one. Then, we will have the aid of geometry in order to solve for these two lines. Okay? And, yeah. So, case number 2. By the lengths of two sides omitted. Given figure 2-1 are lengths and directions of sides A, B, C, D, and D, E, and direction of non-adjoining sides B, C, and E, A are unknown quantities. So we do not know the direction of these two non-adjacent quantities. Take note, hindi sila magkatabi. We just transferred them. So they are still considered non-adjoining quantities. Okay? So, yeah. So, we also have another here. So, you have A, B, B, C, C, D, D, A, and E, A. So, for here, A, B is a known length with a known bearing. E is unknown lengths of the direction in the direction of joining sides. And direction of non-adjoining sides, BC and EA, are the unknown quantities. So dito, ang hindi natin alam is the direction of EA, EA and BC. So again, what we're going to do is to transfer all the existing measurements that we were able to gather. So transfer AB to point E, transfer E to point B, and they will now be there will now be a closing line. Okay? So, the closing line divides the figure into two parts. So, dalawa na yung parts natin. We have the first part and we have the second part. This part is formed by the unknown sides, C, D, and A. So, we have C, D, and A. So these are known sides. And a closing line. So in the second part, we have B, the unknown sides, B and E. So we do not know the sides B and E. And we have the closing line. The transformed figure shows now that the sides with the unknown quantities are made adjoining. Okay, so pinagdikit na natin sila. For particular case, it must be noted that as the angle between the unknown sides approaches 90 degrees, the solution becomes strong. And as the angle approaches 0 degrees or 180 degrees, the solution becomes weak. So, ibig sabihin, pag yung adjoining sides become a 90 degrees or naging right triangle siya, mas madali na siyang isolve. But if the adjoining sides mas lumalapit siya 0 or nagiging 180 degrees, yung angle between them, mas nagiging mahirap siyang isolve. Okay? Yun yung ibig sabihin dito. The problems become intermediate when the lines are parallel. So pag naging 180 na siya, take note dito, approaches 0 or 180. But if it is already 180, for example, this line, this this AB is in parallel with E, we can no longer solve that. Okay? Ganun yon. And for the third case is, yeah, we have the same case. But let's read. Okay? So given the figure 3-1 are the lengths of the end direction sides BC, DE, and EA. BC, DE, and EA. So BC, DE, and EA. Okay? So following the same procedure outlined in the first two cases, the traverse is plotted to scale based on the given data with the and with sides drawn in order. So we are going to transfer yung known sides. So we have BC. I am going to transfer that at point D. Then I am going to transfer CD to point point B here. Then ito na yung mabubuo kong figure. Okay? Ito, transfer ko dito. While this one, transfer ko dito sa baba. Then I will be having my closing line. Okay? So again, the closing line divides the figure into two parts. So we have part 1 and we have part 2. The first part is formed by the known sides and the closing line. The second part is by the unknown sides and a closing line. It will be noted that when the unknown sides are parallel but are not of the same length, their direction is that of the closing line. However, when the unknown sides are parallel and are also the same length, the solution to the problem becomes indeterminate since the length of the closing line becomes a point. So for this one, however, when the unknown sides are parallel and are also of the same length, this when the unknown sides are parallel but are not of the same length, their direction is that of the closing line. Okay? Then we can still solve that. Now, if it is parallel and they are both the same length, then we can no longer solve that. That becomes an indeterminate problem. Okay? So we have here our illustrative problem. Okay, so given the following sketch and tabulated data for the closed traverse, determine the length of the bearing of the unknown side, FA. Okay, so we have here line AB, BC, CD, D, E, and EF. The lengths and the bearing are known. But for line FA, yung line FA natin is unknown. Okay, so this falls under our case number 1. Okay, so kung maalala nyo, we have here one side unknown, omitted measurement. Length and the bearing of one side is unknown. Okay, so omit. So yeah, so ang gagawin natin is we will be using the misclosure method, wherein yung magiging misclosure natin would be the total length of FA. And the latitude and the departure of that would be the tangent of the latitude over the departure would be the bearing. Okay? So, from our previous module, di ba, we were able to solve for latitude and departure. So, by now, dapat alam nyo na mag-solve ng latitude and departure. Okay? So, we have here the latitude. Na-solve na natin. Latitude, latitude. And we have here the departure. Okay? So, if we are to solve now the missed closure, we are going to add all of the north. We are going to add all of the south. Okay? For the departure naman, we are going to add all of the east and we are going to solve all of the west. Okay? So, yan. We are going to algebraically determine or algebraically get the sum. So, 1001.60 minus 529.66, that would give us 471.83. So, this is now the misclosure on the latitude. Okay? Now, since this is the misclosure on the latitude, ito na yung magiging latitude ng line FA. Okay? Now, for the departure, it is 1,000. Yeah. It is 700 712.87 plus negative 1,244.59. We are going to get their algebraic sum. So, ipag-add natin sila. So, that would be negative 531.72. Okay? So, the misclosure on the departure is 571.32 and that is negative. Yung misclosure na yan na yung magiging departure ng line FA. Okay? Now, to get the distance, to get yung length natin, we are just simply going to get the square root of the squared quantity. So, 471.83 squared plus negative 531.72 squared, get the square root. And that will give you the length FA. So, ang length FA natin is 710.88 meters. Okay? So, ganun lang siya kadali. And to get the bearing, it is departure divided by the latitude. Okay? So departure over latitude, negative. Negative departure divided by the negative latitude. Then get the inverse. Get the tangent negative or the arc tangent. That would give us the angle FA, and that is 48 degrees 25 minutes. Okay? And that is now our bearing. Okay, are there any question? So if there are questions, that just comment down below, no? Or just message our GC. Now for the direction, the departure here is negative. So we have here, it would be on the north, south, east, west. So it would be on the west side because departure is along the x-axis. Now for the latitude, it is positive. Therefore, it is north 48 degrees 25 minutes west. That would be the bearing. Okay. Number 2. Given the following tabulated data for a closed traverse in which the length DE and the bearing EA have not been observed in the field, determine these unknown quantities. So, for this traverse, ang unknown natin is si line DE and unknown bearing is si EA. We do not know these two quantities. Okay? So, for the solution, unahin muna natin yung mga alam natin. We need to solve for the latitudes and for the departures of the known values. So, alam natin si AB, si BC, si CD. So, solving for the latitude, eto na yan. Solving for the departure, eto na yan. Okay? So, ang unknown natin is the length of DE and unknown natin is the bearing of EA. Okay? Problem number 2. Given the following tabulated data for a closed traverse in which the length of DE and the bearing of EA is unknown. So determine these known quantities. Okay, so for the first thing that you need to do is to determine your latitude. So north and south, or south rather. And for the departure, it is east and west. Now, if you are not yet quite familiar with solving for your latitude and departure, you can go back to our previous video and watch them, no? Para maging familiar kayo. Okay? So, the next thing that I will be doing is to plot. Okay? So, i-plot natin so that we will know what would be the missing or so we can have an idea of how is our traverse, close traverse is looking or looks like. Okay? So, okay. So, let's say this is point A. So point A, it is south 75 degrees east. So from south going 75 degrees to east. Okay? And it has a line of 1084.32. And the angle here is equivalent to 75 degrees 48 minutes. And this is point B. Now for point B, it is south 18 degrees west. So from south going 15 degrees west. And it has a length of 1,500. So this is 1,590.51. The angle here is equivalent to 15 degrees and 18 minutes. So this is point C. Now for point C, it is south 68 degrees going west. So from south going west 68 degrees. Okay? And it has a length of 1,200. So 1,294.74. And this is point D. Okay? So that is point D. Next would be the unknown length, but we have a bearing of north 28 degrees 39 minutes west. Okay? So, more or less, ganito itsura niyan. Okay? Then, this is point E. Then, from E to A, it is an unknown bearing, but it will be close. It will be going back to point A. Okay? So, take note para tayo malito. Yan, lagyan natin ng marking. Or let's make it a hidden line. Okay? So this is an unknown, this is 1,738.96. And here, our bearing is, the bearing here is 70, or no, that is 28 rather. 28 degrees 39 minutes. Okay? Ito naman, si C, the angle here is 68 degrees 06 minutes. Okay, so since we already have the unknowns or adjacent to each other, there's no need to transfer them na nakaparallel pa rin siya. So what we're going to do is to close, okay, to have our closing line as per procedure. Sabi sa procedure natin. So this will now be our closing line. Now to determine the closing line, okay, so to determine the closing line, we're going to get the algebraic sum of the latitude and the algebraic sum of the departure. So for the misclosure on the latitude, it is equivalent to negative 2,283.05. Now for the misclosure on the departure, it is negative 1,621.0 plus 1,051.19. Okay? So, negative 1,621 plus 1,051.19. That is equivalent to negative 569.81. Then, this is negative 2,283.05. Okay? That is the misclosure. Now, to get the distance of the closing line, for the distance of the closing line, it is equivalent to the square root of CL squared plus CD. squared. So that is equivalent to the square root of uh, 2283.05. Kahit hindi na natin ilagay yung negative because if negative is squared, it will be positive. So plus 569.81 quantity squared. So the closing line is equivalent to square root of 2283.05 squared plus 569.81 squared. And that is equivalent to 2,353.083 meters. Okay? Now to get the angle of the closing line, angle therefore is equivalent to tangent theta is equivalent to x over y. Okay? Departure over latitude. Now for this one, we're going to get the absolute value. Kunin natin absolute value. Then for the direction, we base it on the sine. Okay? So theta therefore is equivalent to arc tangent of what is x. X is equivalent to 569.81. I am getting the absolute value divided by 2283.05. Theta therefore is equivalent to 14 degrees 0.014, or it is better if we're going to use this 14 degrees 0 minutes 49.48 seconds. Okay, so it is from south going to west. Ibig sabihin mali yung drawing natin because if we're going to base it from the design, it is southwest. Okay? So yung angle natin is southwest. Pag ganun siya dapat. Or if we're going to base it on this side, it should be north east. Okay? So that dapat magmumukha siyang ganito. Okay? So dapat ganito yung itsura niya. So from south going west. So this would be our angle. So 14 degrees 0 minutes 49.48 seconds. Or pag nandito naman siya, it would be 49.48 seconds. Okay? And this is a known side. This is 1738.96. Okay? So we can determine this angle here. So let's say this is theta 1. Theta 1 is equivalent to, the angle here is 28 degrees. So from this point up to this point is 28 degrees. From this point to this point is 14 degrees. So that is 28 degrees 39 minutes plus 14 degrees 0 minutes 49.48 seconds. Therefore, theta 1 is equivalent to 28:39 plus 14 0 49.48. That is equivalent to 42 degrees 39 minutes 49.48 seconds. So that is theta 1. And we also know this line, and this line is 2,353.083 meters. So we have two known sides, one known angle. We can use sine law. So let's say this is theta 2 and let's say this is theta 3. So using sine law, we can solve for the values. So what are the unknowns? So pwede natin i-solve ito. This is line DE. Yan. So i-solve muna natin yung angle. So 1,738.96 divided by sine theta 1, and that is 42 degrees 39 minutes 49.48 seconds is equivalent to, ano yung isang side? We have 2,353.083 sine of theta 2. Cross multiply Sine theta 2 is equivalent to 2,353.083 times sine 42 degrees 39 minutes 49.48 seconds divided by 1,738.96. Okay, then get the arc sine. Tangent theta 2 is equivalent to arc sine of this value. So 2353.083 sine 42 degrees 39 minutes 49.48 seconds divided by 1738.93. Theta 2 therefore is equivalent to shift sine 2353.083 sine 42 degrees 39 minutes 49.48 seconds divided by 1738.93, and that is equivalent to 66. Okay, 66 degrees 29 minutes 50.52 seconds. So that is theta 2. Then we can now solve for theta 3. Theta 3 is equivalent to the sum of the interior angle of a triangle is 180 degrees. So 180 minus 42, 39, 49.48 minus 66, 29, 50.52. So theta 3 is equivalent to 180 minus 42, 39, 49.48 minus 66, 29, 50.52. And that is equivalent to 70 degrees, 50 minutes, and 20 seconds. Okay? We can now solve for DE. Again, using sine law. So, DE divided by sine, the opposite angle of DE, is equivalent to theta 3. So, sine 70, 50, 20, 50, 20 seconds is equivalent to, let's say, ito na, 2353.083 divided by sine of theta 2. And theta 2 is 66 degrees, 29 minutes, 50.52 seconds. Okay? So, DE is equivalent to 2353.083 sine of 70, 50, and 20 divided by sine 66, 29, 50.52. And that is equivalent to 2,423.794 meters. So that is the length of DE. Now for the angle here, for the bearing of DE, for bearing of DE, the angle here, theta 3, is equivalent to, the bearing is equivalent to theta 3. Then we're going to subtract, we're going to add 14 degrees. Okay? So, theta 3, because we're coming from the south. So, south going to line 1738. So, that is equivalent to theta 3 minus plus 14 degrees 0 minutes 49.48 seconds. Therefore, bearing is equivalent to, what is theta 3? 70, 50, 20 plus 14 degrees 0 minutes 49.48 seconds. So, ipag-add natin, we have we have 70, 70, 50, 20 plus 14, 0, 49.48 is equivalent to, that's it. So it is 84 degrees, 51 minutes, 9.48 seconds. Now, for the bearing, it is from south to west. Okay? From south to west. And that is our missing values. Okay, so we have here problem number 3. So determine the lengths of the unknown two sides. Okay? So for this problem, hindi tayo adjacent sides. Okay? Magkahiwalay na side yung unknown. So the first thing that we need to do is to determine the latitude and the departure. So if it is positive sa north, pag negative, south. Pag departure, positive east, negative would be on the west side. So after getting that, we get the sum. Okay? Then we will use that for our misclosure. The next thing that we need to do is to plot our traverse. Okay? So let's say this is point A. Okay? Point A is from south going east. So from south going east, and it has a distance of 620 degrees. Okay, so it is, we have a known angle and a distance. And this is point B. Now, from point B to point C, we have an unknown distance, but we have a bearing. So, it is from north going 30 degrees to east. Okay? So, but we do not know the length of BC. So, let's say this is point C. Now, from point C to point D, it is 691.56 meters. From south going from south 42 degrees to 42 degrees 45 minutes going east. From south going east, and it has a length of 691. So 691.56. Then this is 620.06 meters. Okay? And this is point D. Now from D to E, it is from south going west, 60 degrees 40 minutes. South going west, 60 minutes 40 minutes. And it has a length of 688. So it has a length of 688.48 meters. And that is point E. Now from E to F, the distance is unknown, but we are given the bearing. Okay? So from north going west, okay, from north going west, that is 74 degrees. So this is our bearing, but we do not know the length. Then from F to A, it is north going east, 7 degrees and 2 minutes. And that is our traverse. Okay. So after plotting, what I am going to do is to transfer yung mga unknown sides natin sa iisang side and yung mga known side natin sa iisang side. Okay? So, copy natin. Make sure that they are all parallel. That they are parallel if you're going to transfer them. Okay? Then, we have it here. Then, ito. I have it here. Okay. Then, ito. Yan. I have it here. Okay. Now, this one is nandito. Then, this one nandito. Okay. So, this time, meron na akong napagsama ko na yung sides na known and yung sa side na unknown. Then, after which, hahatiin ko na sa dalawang part by placing a closing line. So, this is a closing line. Then, ito na yung ating unknown. So, this is line BC and this is line EF. Okay? So, how to determine yung ating closing line? So, for the closing line, closing line, we just simply need to get the misclosure. So for the misclosure for the latitude, it is simply negative 872.16 plus 409.25, and that is equivalent to negative 872.16 plus 409.25, that is negative 462.91 meters. Now for the misclosure on the departure, it is 1139.39 minus 600.21, and that is equivalent to 539.18 meters. Now for the closing line is equivalent to the square root of 462.91 squared plus 539.18 quantity squared. Okay, the closing line therefore is equivalent to 462.91 plus 539.18. That is equivalent to 710.634 meters. Therefore, the length is 710.634 meters. Now, let us try to get the bearing. So, for the bearing, it is tangent theta is equivalent to absolute value of x divided by the absolute value of y. So, theta is equivalent to arc tangent of what is x. X is the departure. So, 539.18 divided by 462.91 meter. Okay. Theta is equivalent to arc tangent of 539.18 divided by 462.91, and that is equivalent to 49 degrees 21 minutes 8.8 seconds, and it is from south to east. Okay, so from south to east, ito siya. Okay, so niredraw natin siya so we can figure it out. So we have here the theta, the bearing 1. So if we're going to base it from the sign, it is from south going east. Okay, so dito tayo sa side na to. So from south going east, the angle here is 49.21. We have 8.8 seconds. Okay, and the next thing is to solve for the interior angle. So how are we going to solve the interior angle? I-determine muna natin yung mga bearing ng mga angles ay ng mga sides ng mga lines natin. So yan. Okay. So take note, BC, so this is line BC, it is north 30 degrees 30 minutes going to east. So the angle here is 30 degrees 30 minutes. Then from E to F, we have 74 degrees 5 minutes from north going to west. Therefore, the bearing is this one. So we have here 74.05 west. Okay, so the angle here is the same as the angle here. Tama? So theta 1 therefore is equivalent to we have 49 degrees 21 minutes 8.8 seconds plus 30 degrees 30 minutes is equivalent to 49 21 8.8 plus 30 is equivalent to 79 degrees. So that is 79 degrees 51 minutes 8.8 seconds. Okay. Now for the angle here, anong isusunod natin? We can solve for the angle here. Ah, wait. Mali. Wait lang. E to F yung 74. Wait. The 74 is this one. This one is 74. Idiretso natin dito. Mali. This one is 74 degrees. Okay? Mali. Yan. Buong angle na yan. That is 74 degrees. Okay, so the angle here is 74 degrees. Therefore, the angle also here is equivalent to 74 degrees, 5 minutes. Therefore, theta 2, we can determine theta 2. So, theta 2 is equivalent to 180 degrees minus 30 degrees, 30 minutes minus 74 degrees, 5 minutes. Therefore, theta 2 is equivalent to 180 minus 30 minus 74.05. And the interior angle for theta 2 is equivalent to 75 degrees, 25 minutes, and 0 seconds. Okay? And here we have theta 3. So, kompletuhin na natin. Theta 3 is equivalent to the summation of interior angle of a triangle is 180 degrees minus 79 degrees, 51 minutes, 8.8 seconds, minus 75 degrees, 25 minutes. Theta 3 therefore is equivalent to 180 minus 79, 51, 8.8, minus 75, 25, and that is equivalent to 24. So 24 degrees, 43 minutes, and 51.2 seconds. Okay? So, ang unknown natin is two sides. That is BC and EF. And we already have our three angles. So, we can use either sine law or cosine law. But, let's make it easier. Let's use sine law. Okay? So, 710.634 meter sine of the opposite angle, and the opposite angle is theta 2, and theta 2 is equivalent to sine 75 degrees 25 minutes is equivalent to EF. Line EF over sine theta 1, which is 79 degrees 51 minutes 8.8 seconds. Therefore, EF is equivalent to 710.634 over sine 75.25 is equivalent to alpha x over sine 79.51 8.8. Shift solve. EF therefore is equivalent to 722.805 meters. And lastly, we have line BC. So 710.634 sine of the opposite angle, and the opposite angle of 710 is theta 2, which is sine 70. No, theta 2 is 74. Wait, 74. It is 726. Mali. EF is 726.213 meter. Okay? So, tama na ba? No. Wait lang. Mali. Tama pala. Mali. Ito pala yun. Sorry. So, it is, 75.25. 75.25. Therefore, EF is equivalent to 722.805. Okay? So, it pays to have a yung maayos na solution. Okay? 75.25 is equivalent to side BC over sine the opposite angle, which is theta 3. Sine theta 3 is 2443.51.2. Therefore, line BC is equivalent to 710.634 sine 75.25 is equivalent to alpha x over sine 2443.51.2, and BC is equivalent to 307.196 meters. And that is our final answer.